The night air buzzes with the remnants of the concert's energy as I leave the bustling venue, the last echoes of music still reverberating in my mind. The streets are crowded with concert-goers, their laughter and chatter blending into a vibrant cacophony. I'm riding high on the adrenaline of the show, eager to get home quickly, so I decide to take a shortcut through the park. The park is a stark contrast to the lively urban scene I just left. It's eerily quiet, with only the distant hum of traffic and the occasional rustle of leaves breaking the silence. Streetlights cast long shadows across the path, and the darkness seems to swallow up the park's once lively atmosphere. I'm so wrapped up in the afterglow of the concert that I barely notice when I veer off the main path. My attention is elsewhere, my mind still replaying the best moments of the night, the way the crowd swayed in unison and the energy of the music. It's only when the familiar park's scenery changes that I realize I'm no longer on the well-lit path. I push through the undergrowth, trying to find my way back to the main route. The park's silence feels heavy now, more pronounced and unsettling. I stumble forward, my steps muffled by the dense vegetation, and that's when I see it. A dilapidated sign barely visible in the dim light, its once bright colors faded to a ghostly shade. My heart skips a beat as I step into the clearing, and my eyes widen at the sight before me, an abandoned carnival. The carnival's once vibrant colors are now a muted palette of decay and neglect. The rides, frozen in time, loom over the deserted grounds like forgotten sentinels of a past era. The Ferris wheel, its seats rusted and unmoving, casts an eerie silhouette against the night sky. I take a hesitant step forward, the excitement from the concert now replaced by a creeping sense of unease. The carnival, with its cracked and peeling paint, looks like a relic from another world, completely out of place in the midst of this urban park. I walk deeper into the carnival, drawn by a mix of curiosity and the lingering thrill from the concert. The soft glow of the moonlight illuminates the abandoned booths and rides, making the place look both magical and haunting. My footsteps echo in the stillness, and I can't shake the feeling that I'm intruding on something that's meant to be left alone. As I continue exploring, I come across a carousel, its horses frozen in mid-gallop, their once bright colors now dulled and faded. A faint haunting melody begins to play from the music box of the carousel, sending a shiver down my spine. The tune is sweet, but carries an unsettling quality in the context of this desolate place. I reach out to touch one of the horses, its surface cold and damp. The carousel's melody continues, creating a contrast between the eerie silence of the carnival and the cheerful sound of its past. I feel a strange mixture of fascination and discomfort, my excitement from earlier completely forgotten. Realizing that I've ventured too far from the familiar path, I decide it's time to leave. As I turn to retrace my steps, a strange feeling of being watched creeps over me. The carnival's silence feels oppressive, and I can't shake the sensation that something, or someone, is lurking in the shadows. Hurrying back to the park's main path, I glance over my shoulder one last time, seeing the carousel's horses seemingly watching me with their empty eyes. The thrill of the concert now seems a distant memory, replaced by a sense of urgency to get out of the abandoned carnival. As I step further into the abandoned carnival, the silence feels almost oppressive. The once vibrant rides, now rusted and worn, loom like skeletal giants in the moonlight. The air is thick with dust and the faint musty scent of decay. The carnival games, now forgotten relics, are scattered haphazardly across the cracked pavement. The faded signage overhead swings gently in the breeze, creaking softly as though whispering secrets of its past. At first, my curiosity drives me forward. I want to explore this ghostly place, to see what remains of the joy and excitement that once filled these grounds. But as I move deeper into the carnival, my curiosity quickly turns into unease. The carnival's state of disrepair is more unsettling than I anticipated. The paint on the rides is peeling, the booths are covered in a thick layer of grime, and broken glass crunches underfoot. I tread carefully, trying to avoid the shards and debris that litter the ground. The carnival's eerie stillness is occasionally interrupted by the distant screech of a metal sign swaying in the wind. My footsteps echo loudly, amplifying the sense of isolation. Each new sight, A broken prize counter, a rusted bumper car, seems to add to the carnival's haunting aura. As I round a corner, my heart skips a beat. In the distance, a group of figures emerges from the shadows. Their presence is unexpected and unsettling. They're huddled together near the base of the old Ferris wheel, their voices muffled and indistinct. I can't make out their faces, but their posture and the way they move suggests they're not just curious explorers like me. Panic rises within me. I've seen enough horror movies to know that abandoned places can sometimes harbor danger, and the last thing I want is to confront a group of unknown individuals in this desolate setting. I duck behind a dilapidated game booth, trying to stay out of sight. My breath comes fast and shallow as I peer around the corner, trying to gauge their movements. The figures seem to be engaged in some sort of discussion, their gestures animated and urgent. I can't hear the details of their conversation, but the way they move makes me uneasy. I have no idea who they are or what they're doing here, but I know I need to avoid them. I take a deep breath, forcing myself to remain calm. Slowly, I back away from the booth, careful not to make any noise. I try to find another path, one that will lead me out of the carnival without crossing paths with the group. The carnival's labyrinthine layout makes it challenging, and I have to navigate carefully to avoid detection. My heart pounds as I move through the maze of rusting rides and decaying booths. The further I go, the more lost I feel. The carnival's twisted paths and shadowy corners seem to conspire against me, and the sense of being watched grows stronger. Finally, I spot an exit sign half buried in the underbrush. It's faint, but it offers a glimmer of hope. With a last nervous glance at the group still clustered near the Ferris wheel, I make my way toward the exit, eager to leave the abandoned carnival behind. As I step out of the carnival grounds and back into the park, I let out a sigh of relief. The night air feels fresh and clean compared to the oppressive atmosphere of the carnival. My curiosity has been thoroughly quenched, replaced by a profound sense of relief and a renewed awareness of how quickly a simple adventure can turn into a perilous encounter. The old Ferris wheel looms ahead, its rusted frame casting long, twisted shadows on the ground. The group of figures I spotted earlier is now more distinct in the moonlight. They're gathered near the Ferris wheel, their forms illuminated by the occasional flicker of a nearby street lamp. The sight of them, combined with the carnival's eerie ambience, sends a shiver down my spine. I try to keep my distance, hoping to slip past unnoticed, but as I cautiously make my way around the edge of the Ferris wheel, one of the figures notices me. He breaks away from the group and starts walking toward me, a disturbing smile stretched across his face. The man's appearance is disheveled, his clothes hanging loosely on his thin frame. His eyes are the most unsettling part, dark and hollow, with a gaze that feels like it's piercing through me. His smile, though friendly in appearance, doesn't reach his eyes, and instead it only heightens the sense of dread I'm feeling. Fear grips me as I realize that I'm now directly in his path. I try to gauge his intentions, but the more I look, the more I'm unnerved by the way his eyes seem to follow every movement I make. I force myself to maintain eye contact, my breath coming in shallow, uneven gasps. Lost, are we? His voice is raspy, almost too soft, as if he's whispering secrets to the darkness. The smile never wavers, but there's a cold edge to his tone that sends a jolt of terror through me. I swallow hard, trying to keep my composure. "I'm just trying to find my way out," I say, my voice trembling slightly. "I didn't mean to intrude." He takes another step closer, and I instinctively take a step back, trying to put some distance between us. The carnival's shadows seem to stretch and twist around us, adding to the oppressive atmosphere. The man's gaze never wavers, and his unsettling smile remains fixed on his face. "Not many people come here anymore," he says, his voice almost conspiratorial. "It's not a place for strangers." I can't help but feel that there's something more sinister behind his words. The way he's looking at me makes my skin crawl, and I can sense that he's trying to gauge my reaction. The carnival's decaying surroundings seem to close in around us, amplifying the sense of danger. I slowly back away, my heart pounding in my chest. The man's eyes never leave mine, and I can feel his presence growing more oppressive with each passing second. I try to stay calm, focusing on finding a way out while keeping him in my peripheral vision. "I really should go," I say, my voice firmer now despite the fear. "I don't want to stay here any longer." The man's smile widens slightly, but his eyes remain cold and unfeeling. "Of course," he says, taking a step back but not breaking eye contact. "Be careful out there. The night has a way of holding on to those who don't belong." With that, he turns and rejoins the group near the Ferris wheel. I don't waste a second. I turn on my heel and hurry away, my pace quickening as I put as much distance between myself and the unsettling man as possible. The park's familiar sounds of distant traffic are a welcome relief compared to the oppressive silence of the carnival. As I finally make it back to the park's main path, I let out a shaky breath, my heart still racing from the encounter. The night feels colder now, and the sense of relief is tinged with lingering fear. I'm determined to put the carnival and its unsettling inhabitants behind me and get home as quickly as I can. The carnival's grounds stretch out before me, a labyrinth of rusting rides and overgrown grass. My footsteps echo in the eerie silence as I try to put as much distance between myself and the unsettling man. The night is thick with darkness, and the only light comes from the occasional flicker of a street lamp far off in the distance. Just as I start to think I'm in the clear, I hear it. A faint, rhythmic sound that grows steadily louder. My blood runs cold as I realize it's the sound of footsteps. Someone following me through the tangled paths of the carnival. Panic surges through me, and I can't help but glance over my shoulder. The shadowy figure of the man looms behind me, his unsettling smile still plastered on his face. I quicken my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. The carnival's layout is a confusing maze of dark, shadowy corners and crumbling structures. Every turn I take seems to lead me deeper into the labyrinth, the darkness making it difficult to see where I'm going. The once familiar park now feels like a treacherous maze designed to ensnare me. Desperation fuels my movements as I weave through the carnival's decrepit grounds. My breaths come in sharp, uneven gasps, and my legs feel like they're made of lead. I need to find a way out, something that will put me out of reach from the man who's now closing in on me. Then, through the darkness, I spot it, a bridge in the distance. The bridge appears as a faint silhouette against the backdrop of the night sky, offering a glimmer of hope. Without hesitation, I set my sights on it and make a beeline for the bridge, my fear driving me forward. The carnival's twisted paths seem to conspire against me, and I can't shake the feeling that the shadows are alive, reaching out to pull me back. I stumble over uneven ground and stray debris, but I force myself to keep moving, focusing on the distant bridge. Each step feels like a battle, my mind racing with the realization that the man is getting closer. The bridge grows larger in my view, and I push myself even harder, my feet pounding against the ground. The footsteps behind me are growing louder, more insistent. I can almost feel the man's presence, a dark shadow that looms just out of sight. My only hope is to reach the bridge and cross it before he catches up. Finally, I reach the bridge and sprint across it, the wooden planks creaking beneath my weight. The bridge spans over a small, dry creek, and as I cross to the other side, I glance back to see the man at the far end of the bridge. He stops, his figure outlined by the dim light, but he doesn't follow. Breathless and trembling, I make my way down the other side of the bridge and into the relative safety of the park's familiar paths. The sounds of the carnival fade behind me, replaced by the distant hum of traffic and the rustle of leaves in the night breeze. I keep moving, determined to get as far away from the carnival and the man as possible. As I finally reach the edge of the park and see the lights of the city in the distance, I let out a sigh of relief. My heart is still racing and my body feels heavy with exhaustion, but I'm safe, for now. The encounter at the carnival has left me shaken, but I'm resolved to never let curiosity lead me into such danger again. The old wooden bridge stretches before me, its planks uneven and worn. With each step, it creaks ominously, adding to my mounting panic. I glance back to see the man getting closer, his figure emerging from the shadows like a nightmare. My heart races, my mind a blur of fear and urgency. The bridge's gaps between the planks seem to widen, and every sound echoes in the night. I sprint, my legs pumping as I dodge the spaces between the boards, desperate to reach the other side. The bridge is groaning, and the man's pursuing footsteps blend into a terrifying symphony, driving me forward with every ounce of my strength. I finally reach the other side of the bridge, stumbling onto a dimly lit street. The sound of the creaking bridge fades behind me, replaced by the quiet hum of distant traffic. I turn back, my breath catching as I scan the darkness for any sign of the man. Relief washes over me as I see no one following. The bridge looms silent and empty, bathed in eerie moonlight. The street is quiet, the only light coming from scattered street lamps that flicker like weak beacons. I take a deep breath, steadying myself. My heart still races, but the sense of immediate danger has lessened. I start walking quickly, focusing on putting as much distance between myself and the bridge as possible. Familiar landmarks begin to appear, offering a comforting sense of normalcy. I finally make it back to my apartment, the familiar surroundings offering a sense of safety I desperately need. The door clicks shut behind me, and I lock it with trembling hands, double-checking that all the windows are securely fastened. The quiet of my apartment contrasts sharply with the chaos of the night, but it does little to calm my nerves. I sink onto the couch, my heart still pounding from the adrenaline. The encounter with the man and the eerie carnival replay in my mind, leaving me shaken and disturbed. I pull out my phone, checking for missed messages or calls. The screen remains blank, a small comfort in this unsettling situation. My hands are unsteady as I set the phone down. The sense of danger lingers, and I can't shake the feeling of being watched. I know I need to understand what I encountered tonight to make sense of the fear that has taken root in me. I open my laptop and begin to search for information about the abandoned carnival. What kind of place was it really? Who were those people? As I read through old news articles and local lore, I hope to find answers, though deep down, I know some mysteries are better left unsolved. The quiet hum of the apartment provides little solace, and I'm left grappling with the unsettling reality of what I narrowly escaped. As I dig into the carnival's history on my computer, I'm stunned to find articles describing it as a notorious haven for drug users and criminal activity. Shock and fear grip me as I realize how close I came to danger. Numerous incidents are detailed in forum posts and news articles, confirming my worst fears. I contemplate reporting the encounter to the authorities, but feel uncertain, questioning if it will make a difference. Back in my apartment, I try to shake off the night's events, but my sense of normalcy shatters when I overhear a news report about recent incidents at the carnival. The newscaster details drug-related crimes and assaults linked to the site, and my dread returns with full force. The gravity of the situation hits me hard. I was dangerously close to something far worse than I'd imagined. Determined to protect myself, I resolved to stay vigilant and avoid that part of town for the foreseeable future. A few weeks have passed, and I'm doing my best to regain a sense of normalcy. One afternoon, I run into a friend at a cafe. They notice my lingering anxiety and ask how I've been. Feeling a mix of relief and apprehension, I decide to share my story about the carnival and the unsettling encounter. My friend listens intently, their expression a mix of concern and empathy. They offer supportive words and reassure me that it was not my fault, emphasizing how brave I was to confront the danger. As I recount the night's events, I feel a surprising sense of relief. Talking about it helps me process the fear and anxiety that have been haunting me. Despite the comfort of sharing my experience, I'm still on edge, the memories fresh and unsettling. I make a mental note to trust my instincts more in the future and to stay cautious, recognizing the importance of listening to that inner voice that warns me of danger. For now, I'm focused on rebuilding my sense of safety and moving forward with a renewed awareness.